Ambassador Chen Wei stood in the grand chamber of the Galactic Council and tried not to show his surprise. Around him, beings from 100 different worlds sat in their designated seats. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few looked like they were made of living crystal. After 50 years of humanity joining the galactic community, he still found the diversity amazing. Councillor Vrathic rose from the central platform. The insectoid leader's forearms moved in what Chen had learned was a gesture of goodwill. His translator device crackled to life. "Honored members, we gather today with a generous offer for our human friends," Vrathic said. His mandibles clicked between words. "We understand Earth faces population challenges. We wish to help." Chen leaned forward. Behind him, Dr. Sarah Okonkwo and Captain James Rodriguez did the same. Offers from the Council were rare. Offers to humanity were even rarer. Most species in the galaxy saw humans as dangerous and unpredictable. "We offer colonization rights to Kepler 442H, Vrathic continued. "A Class 0 world," gasps echoed through the chamber. Even the translator picked up the shock from various species. Chen's heart raced. A Class 0 world was the safest designation in the galaxy. The scale went from Class 10, which meant certain death, down to Class 0, which meant paradise. "Earth is Class 8, Sarah whispered beside him. "This is incredible." Vrathic brought up a holographic display. A beautiful blue and green planet rotated slowly in the air. White clouds drifted across peaceful continents. Kepler 442 has a stable sun. No tectonic activity means no earthquakes or volcanoes. The weather is mild year-round. The atmosphere is breathable. All native life forms are docile. There are no predators. Vrathic's voice carried across the chamber. "In 10,000 years of classification, we have found only 12 such worlds. This is a gift of peace and friendship," Chen stood. "We are honored, Counselor. May I ask why such generosity?" Several council members shifted in their seats. Vrathic's antennae twitched, which Chen knew meant discomfort. "Humanity is proven energetic in expansion," Vrathic said carefully. "We believe a world where your people can finally rest and prosper would benefit everyone." There it was. Chen understood now. The galaxy was afraid of humans. They wanted to put humanity in a beautiful cage somewhere they couldn't cause trouble. He glanced at Sarah, who had clearly reached the same conclusion. Her jaw was tight, but Earth needed this. 5 billion people crowded into cities that touched the sky. The Mars colony was at capacity. The moon bases were full. They needed room to grow. "We accept," Chen said, with gratitude. That night, in their quarters on the station, the three humans talked freely. "It's a trap," Captain Rodriguez said. He paced the small room like a caged animal. "They want us isolated." "Of course it is," Chen agreed. "But it's also a planet. A habitable planet with room for millions of our people." Sarah pulled up the data files the Council had provided. Her dark eyes scanned the information quickly. "The readings are legitimate. Everything they said checks out. Stable sun, minimal radiation, abundant water, plant life that produces edible fruit." She paused. "It really is perfect. Too perfect," Rodriguez muttered. "Maybe," Chen said. "But our people are dying in the refugee camps on Earth. The water wars are getting worse. We need this world, even if it comes with strings attached." Sarah kept reading, her frown deepening. "There's something odd in the geological data. The planet's core temperature is lower than expected for a world this size." "Is it dangerous?" Chen asked. "No, not immediately. It's just unusual." Sarah shook her head. "Maybe I'm being paranoid." "We're all paranoid," Rodriguez said. "The question is whether we can afford not to take this chance." They sat in silence for a moment. Finally, Chen nodded. "We prepare the colony mission. 5,000 people for the first wave. Scientists, engineers, families. We'll call the ship New Horizons." He looked at his companions. "The Council thinks they're putting us in a golden cage. Let's show them what humans do with paradise." 3 months later, the New Horizons left Earth orbit. 5,000 colonists from every nation on Earth filled its decks. They carried seeds from 1,000 plant species, embryos of animals in cryostorage, and enough equipment to build a city. Ambassador Chen watched from the station as the ship's engines flared to life. His nephew Tommy, only 8 years old, was on that ship with his parents. Chen had promised the boy's mother he would follow on the next transport. "Do you think they'll be safe?" Sarah asked beside him. "Safe?" Chen smiled. "They're going to the safest world in the galaxy." "That's what worries me." "What do you mean?" "Humans weren't made for safety, Sarah. We evolved on a Class 8 Deathworld. We survived ice ages, predators, diseases, and disasters. Easy living makes us soft. Sarah watched the ship disappear into the darkness of space. Or maybe it gives us time to think, time to plan, time to become something more. Maybe, Chen said. But deep in his heart, he wondered what would happen when humanity had nothing left to fight against. Would they finally know peace, or would they create new challenges just to feel alive? The council watched from their chambers as the human ship departed. Vrathic felt satisfaction in his thorax. The dangerous humans would be contained on their paradise world. In a few generations, they would grow comfortable and complacent. They would stop their aggressive expansion into council space. How long before they settle into peaceful routine? Another counselor asked. 10 years, perhaps 20. Vrathic replied. Once they realize there is nothing to struggle against, nothing to overcome, they will lose their edge. Humans are aggressive because Earth made them that way. Kepler 442H will unmake them. None of them considered that they might be wrong. The New Horizons touched down on Kepler 442H exactly 6 months after leaving Earth. Captain Rodriguez stood at the viewport and watched the landing site come into view. Rolling hills covered in purple grass stretched to the horizon. Forests of tall trees with silver bark sparkled in the sunlight. 3 rivers met in a valley, creating a perfect location for their settlement. It's beautiful, Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka said beside him, like something from a dream. Dreams can be dangerous, Rodriguez replied. But even he had to admit the world looked perfect. The colonists named their settlement New Providence. Within weeks, they had constructed basic housing using prefabricated modules. Solar panels generated more power than they needed. Water from the rivers was clean enough to drink without filtration. The air smelled like honey and earth. Marcus Webb, the agricultural specialist, planted the first earth crops in the alien soil. He expected problems, challenges that would take years to overcome. Instead, everything grew. Tomatoes swelled to the size of melons. Wheat reached maturity in half the usual time. Even the notoriously difficult coffee plants thrived. This soil is miracle dirt, Marcus told Sarah during a survey walk. It's like the planet wants us to succeed. Sarah knelt and ran the soil through her fingers. The native plants have deep root systems that aerate the ground perfectly. The decay cycle is fast, creating rich compost. And look, she pointed to small insects moving through the dirt. Natural pest control. Everything is balanced. Too balanced, she thought, but didn't say. The native animals were curious about the humans, but never aggressive. Creatures that looked like a cross between deer and rabbits would approach close enough to touch. Their large eyes held no fear. Children could play in the forests without supervision. Young Tommy Chen loved his new home. He climbed the tallest trees and swam in the rivers. His mother stopped worrying after the first month. There was nothing here that could hurt him. That was when the problems started. By the 4th month, Rodriguez noticed something strange during morning assembly. The colonists looked healthy, well-fed, and safe. But they also looked bored. I missed the gym on the ship, one engineer said. At least there I could work up a sweat. Everything here is too easy, another agreed. I'm a problem solver. Where are the problems? Rodriguez brought his concerns to Sarah and Marcus at their weekly meeting. People are complaining about paradise, he said, shaking his head. I never thought I'd say those words. I've noticed it too, Marcus said. Some of the farmers are trying to breed more challenging crops. They want plants that require more care. Sarah looked up from her data pad. The children are taking unnecessary risks. Yesterday I saw a group trying to swim across the widest part of the river. When I asked why, they said they were testing themselves. Is anyone hurt? Rodriguez asked. No, that's just it. The current is gentle. The water is shallow enough to stand. They can't actually get hurt, and that frustrates them. Rodriguez rubbed his temples. We left a dying planet, traveled across the galaxy to find safety, and now we're upset because we're too safe. Humans are strange, Marcus said with a laugh. My grandmother always said we're only happy when we're struggling. The Galactic Council observers in orbit noticed the unusual behavior too. They sent daily reports back to the council chambers. The humans are building obstacle courses, one report stated. They race through them for no purpose. They have organized climbing competitions, another said. They scaled the cliffs near Settlement North. The cliffs are only 15 meters high and easy to climb, but they celebrate reaching the top as if they conquered a mountain. They are studying the native ecosystem with disturbing intensity, a third report warned. They have cataloged more species in 4 months than our team's cataloged in 2 years. Counselor Vrathic read these reports with growing confusion. They should be relaxing. Why are they making work for themselves? Perhaps they are still adjusting, another counselor suggested. Give them time. But as months passed, the situation didn't improve. It got worse. Human scientists began exploring beyond the approved settlement zones. They wanted to see the polar regions where the Council's data showed temperatures dropped to a dangerous 10 degrees Celsius. Rodriguez had laughed when he read that. 10 degrees, he'd said. That's a warm winter day in Canada. Sarah's research team made a discovery in month 8. She called Rodriguez and Marcus to her lab immediately. Look at this, she said, pointing to a holographic display of the planet's geological structure. The core temperature is declining. It's been cooling for millions of years. What does that mean? Marcus asked. It means the planet's magnetic field is weakening. Eventually, it will fail completely. Solar radiation will strip away the atmosphere. Sarah's voice was steady, but her hands shook. In geological terms, this planet is dying. Rodriguez felt cold despite the warm air. How long do we have? 200 years, maybe 300 before it becomes noticeable. 1,000 before it's completely uninhabitable. We need to tell the Council, Marcus said. Sarah nodded. I've already sent a request for an emergency session. The Council's response came 3 days later. Counselor Vrathic appeared on the communication screen, his antennae drooping. We were aware of the planet's condition, he admitted. You knew? Rodriguez shouted. You sent 5,000 people to a dying world. The planet will remain habitable for many generations, Vrathic said defensively. We thought it was enough time for your species to learn peace, to grow gentle. Then we would help relocate you to another world. There was a long silence. Then Rodriguez started laughing. It was not a happy sound. You wanted to tame us, he said. You wanted us to get comfortable, to go soft so we'd be easier to control. We wanted you to know peace, Vrathic insisted. Sarah leaned into view of the camera. Counselor, you made a mistake. You gave us a challenge. A dying planet that needs saving. It cannot be saved, Vrathic said. No species has ever restarted a planetary core. No species has tried, Rodriguez said, and his smile was sharp. Until now. That night, the humans of New Providence gathered in the central square. Rodriguez stood before them and explained the situation. He expected panic, fear, demands to evacuate. Instead, Tommy Chen raised his hand. So we get to save a whole planet? The boy asked, his eyes shining with excitement. That's one way to look at it, Rodriguez said carefully. Cool, Tommy said. That's way better than just living here. Around the square, other colonists nodded. A few even cheered. Marcus leaned close to Sarah. Are we broken as a species? Normal people would be terrified. Maybe, Sarah said, watching the crowd's eager faces. Or maybe this is exactly what we needed. A purpose. A challenge. Something worth fighting for. Rodriguez raised his hands for quiet. We'll need help from Earth. Engineers, scientists, equipment. This will take years, maybe decades. It's dangerous. It might not even work. When has that ever stopped humans? Someone shouted from the crowd. The cheering started then and didn't stop for a long time. Dr. Zixotel had been observing humans for 11 months now, and they made no sense. The crystalline scientist floated in the observation deck of the Council ship, analyzing data from New Providence with growing alarm. They are building walls, Zixotel reported during the weekly Council briefing. Large defensive structures around their settlement. Walls? Admiral Threndock's scales rippled with confusion. Against what? There are no predators on that world, no hostile forces. Against nothing, Zixotel confirmed. When our team asked them why, they said practice and just in case. Counselor Vrathic shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The human situation was not developing as planned. What else are they doing? They have divided into teams for what they call competitions, Zixotel continued. They race each other, build structures faster than each other, solve mathematical problems faster than each other. Everything is a contest. Competitive behavior is normal in young species, another counselor offered. They will outgrow it. There is more, Zixotel said. They have discovered the planet's core is cooling. We confirmed they sent messages to Earth requesting engineers and equipment. The council chamber erupted in clicking, chirping, and various forms of alarmed communication. They plan to attempt core stabilization? Vrathic asked. That is impossible. No species has ever succeeded in such an endeavor. The humans do not seem to care about success rates, Zixotl replied. They appear motivated by the challenge itself. Admiral Threndock stood, his massive form imposing. We should relocate them now, before they damage the planet or themselves. That may prove difficult, Zixotl said carefully. The humans have started calling this planet their home. They speak of it with emotional attachment. It has been less than a year. Vrathic's antennae quivered with frustration. How can they bond so quickly to a world? The answer came 3 days later when the first transport ships from Earth arrived. 5 massive vessels entered orbit, carrying not refugees seeking evacuation, but engineers eager for a challenge. Sarah met the first team at the landing site. Dr. Raymond Chen, Ambassador Chen's brother, led the group. Behind him came specialists in planetary geology, nuclear physics, and deep drilling operations. Sarah, Raymond embraced her warmly. When Wade told me you found a dying planet that needed saving, I knew I had to come. You understand this might not work? Sarah asked. The success rate of core restart operations is 0. It's never been done, Raymond grinned. Then we'll be the first. Show me what you found. Over the next weeks, the human population of Kepler 442 swelled to 8,000. They came from every nation on Earth, united by a common goal. The colony transformed from a peaceful settlement into a massive industrial operation. The plan was ambitious, perhaps insane. 7 drilling sites around the planet, each boring down through the crust to the mantle core boundary. Once at depth, they would place fusion devices calibrated to generate heat and motion, jump-starting the convection currents that powered the magnetic field. The calculations are brutal, Raymond told Rodriguez during a planning session. We need to drill deeper than any previous operation. The pressure and heat at those depths will destroy conventional equipment. So we build unconventional equipment, Rodriguez replied. We have the best engineers in human space here. Let them solve it, and they did. The human teams worked with an energy that amazed the alien observers. They sang while working dangerous jobs. They celebrated equipment failures by analyzing what went wrong and designing better versions. They took breaks to tell jokes and share meals, then returned to work with renewed focus. Some younger aliens began to ask permission to join the human teams. Vrathic denied every request. They will corrupt our youth with their reckless attitudes, he warned. Already, some of our observers report feeling inspired by human determination. This is dangerous thinking. But 3 alien observers defied the Council's orders. A crystalline named Zixotl, a reptilian engineer called Skthrak, and a small amphibious being named Plip volunteered to work on Drill Site 3. Marcus welcomed them warmly. Ever operated a thermal bore before? No, Skthrak admitted. But you said you needed hands. We have hands. Close enough, Marcus laughed. Let me show you how this works. The aliens quickly learned that humans approached work differently than any species they had encountered. When a drill bit broke at 2 kilometers depth, costing 3 weeks of progress, the humans called it an expensive lesson. When calculations showed a 15% chance of success, they said better than nothing. When a collapse at Site 5 killed 2 workers, the humans held a memorial service and returned to drilling the next day. Do you not fear death? Zixotl asked Sarah one evening. They sat watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and purple. Of course we do, Sarah replied. But we fear meaninglessness more. Those 2 people who died, they died trying to save a world. That means something. On my world, we avoid all unnecessary risk, Zixotl said. We have lived safely for 10,000 years. And in those 10,000 years, what have you achieved? Zixotl was quiet for a long time. Stability, peace, continuation of our species. That's important, Sarah agreed. But humans need more. We need to grow, to push boundaries, to attempt the impossible. She smiled. Maybe that's why we're so hard to understand. We're not satisfied with just existing. We want to matter. By the end of the 2nd year, all 7 drilling sites had reached the 1-kilometer mark. The work was slow, dangerous, and expensive. Earth sent more supplies, more equipment, more volunteers. The population reached 12,000. Tommy Chen was 10 now. He worked in the agricultural section, helping grow food for the increased population. But his real passion was watching the drilling operations. He would sit for hours watching the massive machines bite into the planet's crust. What do you want to be when you grow up? Lieutenant Tanaka asked him one day. A planetary engineer, Tommy said without hesitation. I want to save worlds, Tanaka smiled. There aren't many worlds that need saving. Not yet, Tommy replied with a child's confidence. But Uncle Wei says the galaxy has lots of old planets. Maybe we can help them all. In orbit, Admiral Threndock received orders from the Council. They were growing impatient with the human project. 5 years, the message read. If the humans have not succeeded in 5 years, we will evacuate them by force if necessary. The resources being devoted to this project are wasteful. The risk is too great. Threndock looked down at the planet below. Even from orbit, he could see the lights from 7 drilling sites working day and night. He thought about the reports he had been filing, carefully neutral in tone but unable to hide a growing respect for human determination. 5 years seemed both impossibly short and dangerously long. Short because the task was enormous, long because he secretly wanted to see if these crazy humans could actually do it. Inform the human leadership of the deadline, he told his communications officer, and send a message to the Council. Tell them I recommend patience. Something interesting is happening here. When Rodriguez received the 5-year deadline, he called a colony-wide meeting. 12,000 humans gathered in the expanded central square. 5 years, Rodriguez said simply. The Council gives us 5 years to succeed or abandon the project. The crowd was silent. Then someone in the back shouted, "Then we better drill faster." The cheering was deafening. Year 3 of the drilling operation brought the coldest winter New Providence had ever seen. Temperatures dropped to 8 degrees Celsius, which the Galactic Council classified as dangerously cold. The humans put on light jackets and continued working. Raymond Chen stood at the edge of Drill Site 1, watching the massive bore machine descend another meter into the darkness. Ice crystals formed on his beard, but he barely noticed. The drill had reached 15 kilometers depth. Only 10 more to go. The core readings are getting interesting, Sarah said, joining him with 2 cups of coffee. The steam rose in the frigid air. The temperature gradient is steeper than our models predicted. Good news or bad news? Raymond asked, accepting the coffee gratefully. Both. Good because it means the core still has significant thermal energy. Bad because it means drilling will be harder, and the convection currents are more chaotic than we thought. So we adjust the fusion device yields, Raymond said. We've done it before. We've adjusted 3 times already. Each change adds more uncertainty to the outcome. Raymond looked at his sister-in-law, seeing the worry in her eyes. Do you think we can do this? Sarah was quiet for a moment. I think we have to try. Because if we don't and this planet dies, we'll spend the rest of our lives wondering if we could have saved it. At Drill Site 3, Marcus worked alongside Sikthrak and Plip. The alien volunteers had been with the project for 2 years now, and they had changed. Sikthrak no longer flinched when alarms sounded. Plip had learned to laugh at mistakes instead of freezing in fear. Zixotal had even started telling jokes. My people would not recognize me, Zixotal said during a lunch break. I have become reckless by crystalline standards. You've become brave, Marcus corrected. There's a difference, is there? To my people, they are the same thing. A young human engineer named Lisa joined them, her face streaked with grease. Site 7 just hit 20 kilometers. They're in the lead now. Should we work faster? Plip asked eagerly. The small amphibian had developed a competitive streak that amused everyone. We work safe, Marcus said firmly. Speed doesn't matter if we don't reach the target depth intact. But the friendly competition between drill sites did motivate everyone. Each site tried to outdo the others in efficiency, safety records, and creative problem-solving. When Site 4 developed a new drill bit design that cut through rock 30% faster, they shared it with all the other sites immediately. Why share your advantage? Skethrak asked, confused. On my world, such innovations would be kept secret. Because we're all trying to save the same planet, Lisa explained. If one site succeeds faster, everyone succeeds. This concept of collaborative competition fascinated the alien observers. They began filing reports about human efficiency paradoxes and irrational cooperation behaviors. Admiral Threndock read these reports with growing interest. He had started visiting the planet's surface monthly, officially to monitor progress, but really because he found the humans intriguing. During one visit, he watched a crew celebrating after their drill broke through a particularly difficult rock layer. They were dancing. In the middle of a dangerous industrial operation covered in sweat and dirt, they were dancing and singing. Why do you celebrate small victories? Threndock asked Rodriguez. Because big victories are made of small ones, Rodriguez replied. And because work without joy is just suffering. We're going to be here for years. Might as well enjoy it. Your species is very strange. Thank you, Admiral. We take that as a compliment. Year 4 brought challenges that tested human resolve. Site 2's drill encountered an underground magma chamber that wasn't in the geological surveys. The resulting eruption destroyed millions of credits worth of equipment and set the site back 6 months. Site 6 had a catastrophic collapse that buried the drill completely, requiring them to start over. The Council sent messages urging the humans to abandon the project. Counselor Vrathic appeared on communication screens looking tired and frustrated. "You have 1 year remaining," he said. "You have not reached the required depth at any site. The probability of success is now below 10%. Please, let us evacuate you to safety." Rodriguez stood before the camera with Sarah and Raymond beside him. "Counselor, we appreciate your concern, but we're not leaving. You are being irrational." "Probably," Rodriguez agreed cheerfully. "But we're also getting close. 5 sites are past 20 kilometers. 2 more are close behind. We've learned so much in 4 years. Failure now would waste all that knowledge. You could die. Everyone dies eventually, Counselor. The question is what we accomplish before we do." After the transmission ended, Sarah turned to Rodriguez. "You really think we can make it?" "Honestly, I have no idea, but I know we'll regret it forever if we don't try." Tommy Chen was 12 now and working on one of the engineering teams. He had a gift for understanding complex systems that impressed even the senior scientists. Raymond had started teaching him advanced mathematics and physics. "You could go to university on Earth," Raymond told him during a tutoring session. "Get proper training. Why would I leave?" Tommy asked. "Everything important is happening here." "It might not work, Tommy. We might fail." Tommy looked at his uncle with serious eyes. "Then we fail trying. That's still better than not trying at all." Raymond saw his brother weigh in that expression, that stubborn human determination that the galaxy found so bewildering. The final months before the deadline were frantic. All 7 sites pushed toward their target depths with desperate energy. The fusion devices were ready, calibrated and recalibrated a dozen times. The synchronization computers ran constant simulations. Sarah barely slept, reviewing calculations over and over. The margin for error was razor thin. Too little energy and the core would remain dormant. Too much and they could fracture the planet's crust, causing volcanic eruptions that would make the surface uninhabitable. "We're threading a needle in the dark," she told Raymond. "Then we thread very carefully," he replied. With 3 weeks until the Council's deadline, Site 1 reached target depth, 25 kilometers down. The drill broke through into the interface between the solid mantle and the liquid outer core. Sensors confirmed the location. The cheering could be heard across the entire settlement. Over the next 2 weeks, 4 more sites reached their targets. Site 2, still recovering from the earlier setback, pushed their crew to the limit and made it with 48 hours to spare. Site 6, the one that had collapsed, completed their drilling with only 12 hours remaining. Only Site 4 remained. They were 300 meters short when the deadline expired. The Council fleet appeared in orbit right on schedule. Admiral Threndok's flagship led a formation of transport ships. "Captain Rodriguez," Threndok's voice came through the communication system. "Your deadline has expired. 6 of 7 sites is insufficient for safe detonation. You must evacuate now." Rodriguez looked at his team. Sarah, Raymond, Marcus, Tanaka, Tommy, and thousands of others who had worked for 5 years toward this goal. The 3 alien volunteers stood with them, having completely integrated into the human community. "Site 4 is 300 meters short," Rodriguez said calmly. "Give us 2 more days. The Council has ordered immediate evacuation. Then the Council can wait 2 more days. We didn't come this far to quit now." Site 4's crew worked without stopping. The drill bit through the final meters at a painfully slow pace. The last 100 meters took 20 hours. When the drill finally broke through, the crew was too exhausted to cheer. They simply sat down where they stood and cried. The fusion devices sat in their chambers, 25 kilometers below the surface at 7 locations around the planet. Each device represented years of work, billions of credits, and the hopes of 15,000 humans who now called this world home. Admiral Threndok stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the planet below. He had received new orders from the Council, delivered by Counselor Vrathic himself via quantum communication. "You will evacuate the humans immediately," Vrathic had said, his antennae rigid with authority. If they refuse, you are authorized to use force. This experiment has gone on long enough. They have reached their target depths at all 7 sites, Threndok argued. They wish to proceed with detonation. The risk is too great. Our models show a 43% chance of catastrophic crustal failure. The detonation could make the planet uninhabitable within hours. We cannot allow them to destroy themselves. With respect, Counselor, they knew the risks when they started. They are not thinking clearly. 5 years of obsessive work has clouded their judgment. You will evacuate them for their own good. Now Threndok had to make a choice. Follow orders and forcibly remove the humans, or allow them to proceed with a plan that might kill them all. He looked at his tactical officer. Send a message to Captain Rodriguez. Inform him he has 48 hours to evacuate all personnel, or we will begin forced extraction. On the surface, Rodriguez received the message while standing in New Providence's central square. Around him, the entire colony had gathered. When he finished reading, he looked up at the crowd. The Admiral says we have 2 days to leave or they'll make us leave. The crowd erupted in angry shouts and protests. Rodriguez raised his hands for quiet. But we're not leaving. We've come too far. Tomorrow we proceed with the detonation sequence. Ambassador Chen Wei, who had arrived on one of the last transports from Earth, pushed through the crowd. He had been working in the orbital station but came down specifically for this moment. The Council will interfere, Wei warned his friend. They have ships, weapons. We have mining equipment. Then we detonate now, tonight, before they can stop us, Rodriguez replied. The calculations need another 3 days of verification, Sarah protested. We can't rush this. We don't have 3 days, Raymond said quietly. We have tonight or never. The leadership team looked at each other. This was the moment they had worked toward for 5 years, and they were being forced to rush it. Sarah thought about all the simulations that still needed running, all the contingencies that remained unplanned. Then she thought about what would happen if they didn't try. They would be evacuated, the drilling sites would be sealed, and this planet would slowly die over the next few centuries. All their work would be meaningless. We proceed tonight, she said. I'll coordinate the detonation sequence. If we're going to fail, let's fail trying. Admiral Threndok received the alert 20 minutes later. His sensors detected power spikes at all 7 drilling sites. The humans were activating the fusion devices. They're going to do it now, his tactical officer reported. Should we deploy ground forces? Threndok's claws tapped against his command chair. He could send troops to secure the sites. He could use targeted energy weapons to disable the devices. He had the power to stop this, but he thought about the past 5 years of reports. The humans singing while they worked, the way they celebrated small victories and learned from failures. The 3 alien volunteers who had found something among the humans they never found in their own cultures. All ships, move to high orbit, Threndok ordered. If there is a catastrophic failure, I want us clear of the debris field. Sir, the Council ordered. I am the commanding officer here. We observe. That is all. Rodriguez stood in the command center with Sarah and Raymond. Screens showed data from all 7 sites. The fusion devices were armed and synchronized. Detonation in 6 hours, Sarah announced. All sites report ready. Ambassador Wei activated the broadcast system, sending a message that would reach Earth, the Council station, and every human ship in the sector. My name is Chen Wei, Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council. In 6 hours, humanity will attempt something never before achieved. The restart of a planetary core. We were given this world as a prison, a place where the Council believed we would grow soft and controllable. His voice carried across the colony, steady and clear. They did not understand humans. We don't fear danger, we fear meaninglessness. This planet is not a prison, it is our home, and we will fight for it. Not because we are certain of success, but because some things are worth fighting for even if we fail. In orbit, Admiral Threndok listened to the broadcast. In the Council chambers halfway across the galaxy, Vrathik listened. On Earth, billions of humans listened. We did not ask for an easy life, Wei continued. We asked for one worth living. Tomorrow, this planet will either be saved or destroyed. But tonight we are exactly what we were meant to be, humans refusing to accept fate. The countdown began. 5 hours, 4 hours, 3. Rodriguez ordered all non-essential personnel to evacuate to the orbital stations. Parents sent their children up on shuttles. Tommy Chen refused to go. This is my planet too, the 12-year-old insisted. I'm staying. His Uncle Wei stood beside him. Then we stay together. The last hour was the longest. Sarah watched her screens making tiny adjustments to the detonation sequence. The devices had to fire within microseconds of each other. Too much variance and the shock waves would interfere destructively instead of constructively. 60 seconds, she announced. Rodriguez put his hand on her shoulder. Whatever happens, we tried. 30 seconds, the colony held its breath. In orbit, Threndok's crew watched their sensors intently. 10 seconds, 9, 8. Marcus grabbed Sithrak's hand. The alien had stayed despite having the option to leave. So had Zixotal and Plip. They were part of the human team now. 3, 2, 1, detonation. 7 simultaneous explosions, 25 kilometers underground, erupted with the force of small stars. The energy tore through the boundary between solid mantle and liquid core, creating massive pressure waves that raced through the planet's interior. On the surface, the ground began to shake, not the gentle trembling of minor quakes the humans had experienced during drilling. This was violence on a planetary scale. Buildings swayed. The rivers changed course. Cracks appeared in the ground, splitting roads and fields. The humans ran for the reinforced shelters they had built for this exact scenario. The shaking went on for 12 hours. Rodriguez held Tommy close as the shelter walls groaned under the stress. Around them, humans and the 3 aliens huddled together, waiting to see if they had saved a world or destroyed it. In orbit, Threndok watched sensors that showed apocalyptic readings. The entire planet convulsed. Volcanic activity had started in 3 locations. The magnetic field fluctuated wildly. "Should we prepare emergency rescue?" his officer asked. "Wait," Threndok said. "Just wait." Gradually, over 72 hours, the shaking subsided. The volcanoes continued to erupt, but in controlled releases. The magnetic field stopped fluctuating and began to stabilize at higher levels than before the detonation. Deep beneath the surface, in places no human would ever see, the planet's core began to move again. Convection currents established themselves, carrying heat from the inner core to the outer regions. The magnetic dynamo that had been dying for millions of years sparked back to life. Sarah emerged from the shelter to see her world transformed. Steam rose from new volcanic vents. The rivers had carved new channels. The landscape looked raw and violent. It looked alive. "Did we do it?" Tommy asked, stepping into the sunlight. Sarah checked her portable sensors, tears streaming down her face. "The core is generating heat. The magnetic field is strengthening. We did it. We actually did it." The celebration that followed was heard in orbit. 10 years after the detonation, the planet had transformed in ways no one had predicted. The humans had officially renamed it New Gaia, and the name stuck even in Galactic Council records. Ambassador Chen Wei walked through the rebuilt New Providence, barely recognizing it from the settlement that had stood here a decade ago. The buildings were taller now, stronger, built to withstand the occasional earthquake that had become part of life. Walls that once served no purpose now protected against real dangers, because New Gaia had developed teeth. Sarah's research station sat on a hill overlooking the forest. She was meeting with a team of xenobiologists from 3 different species, all eager to study what the Council was calling the most rapid evolutionary acceleration ever recorded. The increased tectonic activity changed everything, Sarah explained, pointing to her data displays. The planet that was biologically stagnant for millions of years suddenly had environmental pressures. The life here had to adapt or die. And they adapted, one of the alien scientists said in awe. The herbivores that showed no fear now have sophisticated predator detection behaviors. The plants have developed defensive toxins. There are actual predators now, evolved from the generalist omnivores, Sarah confirmed. In just 10 years, we've documented 3 new species that hunt in packs. They're still primitive compared to Earth predators, but give them another century. "You created a Deathworld," the scientist said. Sarah smiled. "We woke up a sleeping world. There's a difference." In the forest below, Tommy Chen led a mixed group of humans and aliens on a survey expedition. At 22, he had become one of the youngest planetary engineers in known space. The title was technically new, created specifically to describe what he and others like him did. "Watch the undergrowth," Tommy warned his team. "The thornback lizards are active this time of day." A young crystalline scientist named Zixotal Jr., child of the original observer who had defected to work with humans, carefully stepped over the mentioned vegetation. On my homeworld, we eliminated all dangerous species millennia ago. Must be boring. Tommy said cheerfully. It is very safe. Like I said, boring. They found what they were looking for in a clearing, a new volcanic vent that had opened during the previous month's tremor. Tommy took readings while his team collected mineral samples. The vent is stable, he reported. It'll be good for geothermal power. I'll recommend we build a generator station here. You make it sound so easy, Sixatal Jr. said, working around active volcanic activity. It is easy if you respect it. My grandmother always said the universe isn't trying to kill you. It just doesn't care if you live or die. So you be careful, pay attention, and work with what you've got. Back in orbit, Admiral Threndock prepared for his final tour before retirement. He had spent 10 years observing New Gaia, watching humans turn a dying paradise into a thriving challenge. His reports had changed Council policy in ways he never expected. Counselor Vrathic met him in the station's observation lounge. The old counselor looked tired but somehow lighter, as if a burden had been lifted. I was wrong about humans, Vrathic said without preamble. About everything. You were not alone in that, Threndock replied. We thought we understood species development. 10,000 years of observation taught us that sapient life seeks comfort and safety above all else. Vrathic's antennae drooped. Humans proved that theory catastrophically wrong. They seek purpose, Threndock said. Safety is just a foundation, not a goal. Vrathic pulled up a holographic display showing New Gaia from orbit. The planet glowed with auroras now, visible manifestations of the restored magnetic field. Storms swirled across the oceans. Volcanic chains traced glowing lines across the continents. We gave them a Class 0 world, Vrathic said. They turned it into a Class 7 Deathworld in a decade. And they are happier for it, Threndock observed. Human population is now 50,000. Applications to immigrate from Earth are backlogged for years. They want to come to the dangerous world, not the safe one. This has caused significant debate in the Council. Some members want to restrict human expansion further. Others want to learn from them. What do you want, Counselor? Vrathic was quiet for a long time. I want to understand them. In 5 decades of human membership in the galactic community, they have challenged every assumption we held. They are uncomfortable, unpredictable, and utterly fascinating. They are calling the phenomenon human-induced terraforming, Threndock said. Species from 6 worlds have requested human consultation for restoration projects. I know. I approved 3 of those requests myself. That afternoon, the Galactic Council held a special session. Representatives from 200 worlds attended in person or via hologram. The topic: reclassification of New Gaia and new protocols for human integration. Ambassador Chen stood before the council once more, just as he had 10 years ago. But the atmosphere was different now. Where once there was barely concealed hostility, now there was curiosity. We gathered to address the New Gaia situation, Vrathic announced. The planet has been reclassified from Class 0 to Class 7 due to increased tectonic activity, developing predator species, and unpredictable weather patterns. This is unprecedented in council records. The humans did not just save a dying world, another counselor added. They fundamentally changed it. The question before us is whether this represents a threat or an opportunity. Ambassador Chen smiled. If I may speak. Please, Vrathic gestured. The Council has used the Deathworld classification system for 10,000 years. It ranks worlds by danger to life, but humans don't avoid danger. We seek optimal challenge. You classified Earth as Class 8, a world that should have killed us. Instead, it made us what we are. Chen pulled up a display showing New Gaia's transformation. You sent us to Class 0 to tame us, to make us soft, but humans create our own challenges because we need them to thrive. New Gaia isn't more dangerous because we failed to keep it safe. It's more dangerous because we made it alive again, and life is messy, unpredictable, and beautiful. So you admit you are a destabilizing force? A counselor challenged. We're a catalyst, Chen replied. We don't seek destruction. We seek growth. Sometimes growth is uncomfortable. Vrathic stood, his antennae raised in what humans had learned was a gesture of respect. The Council proposes a new classification. Not for worlds, but for species. We propose the designation catalyst species for sapient life that actively transforms their environment to match their needs rather than adapting to existing conditions. The chamber buzzed with discussion. It was a radical departure from traditional classifications. Humans would be the first species to receive this designation, Vrathic continued, and with it would come new protocols. Catalyst species would be consulted for planetary restoration projects, but restricted from pristine worlds to avoid unwanted transformation. You want to hire us to fix broken planets? Chen asked. We want to learn from you how to fix them, and yes, we would compensate appropriately. Chen looked at the council, seeing in their faces a mix of fear, respect, and hope. They were afraid of what humans represented: change, chaos, the unknown. But they also needed what humans offered. We accept, Chen said, on one condition. Any species that wants to learn from us must send volunteers to work alongside us. Not to observe, to participate. Dangerous species like you should not, a counselor began. We are only dangerous if you make us your enemy. Chen interrupted. Make us your partners and we'll move worlds for you, literally. The vote took 3 hours. In the end, the council approved the new designation by a narrow margin. Humanity became the first catalyst species, with all the privileges and restrictions that entailed. That evening, Tommy Chen sat with his uncle on the balcony of the rebuilt settlement hall. The sun set over New Gaia's transformed landscape. In the distance, a volcano painted the sky orange and red. Do you think we did the right thing? Tommy asked. Changing this world so much. Ambassador Chen considered the question carefully. The planet was dying. We gave it a chance to live. Maybe it won't be the peaceful paradise it was, but it will be alive. That's worth something. The council still doesn't really understand us, do they? No, but they're learning. And that's more than I hoped for 10 years ago. Below them, the settlement bustled with activity. Humans and aliens working together, building, exploring, learning. 3 young crystallines raced through the streets playing a game they learned from human children. A reptilian engineer shared a meal with a human family. New Gaia was not the world the council had intended to give humanity. It was better, because it was real. It had challenges and dangers, beauty and chaos. It was alive in ways the old Class Zero paradise never was. The Galactic Archives updated their records that night. Under the entry for Kepler 442, now officially designated New Gaia, the classification read, Class 7 Deathworld, human-induced terraforming event. And in a note that would puzzle xenoanthropologists for generations, someone had added, recommended for species seeking growth. Not recommended for species seeking comfort. Humans love it here. Counselor Vrathic read that note and actually laughed, a sound his own species rarely made. The council had sent humans to a perfect world to tame them.